So in today's video, what I'm gonna talk about is toxicity. And I feel like this is crucial that I touch on this because no matter who you are in life, toxicity is just gonna pop up. And I feel like when you ask people how they deal with toxicity, the main way they say is, oh, I'm cutting that person off. How you gonna cut toxicity out of your life when you live with it? Like your mom, your dad, your whole household might be toxic to you. So it's like, I feel like we need to establish more ways to deal with toxicity. And in this video, I will touch on multiple ways and multiple things that you can do when you're dealing with that. And one of the things I did to prove my point is I went around my college campus and I started asking random people one or two questions. It's basically the same, but it's just one or two questions. It's like, well, how do you eliminate toxicity in your life? Or I said, how do you eliminate toxicity in your life when you can't cut the person off? And the answers were totally different, so we'll get into that. So, how do you eliminate toxicity in your life without cutting it off?
I don't think there's no other way. I think, there's no other way to keep it real with you. All right.
I would say, like, without cutting someone out, talking to them and addressing the problem and having a mature conversation. That's how I would do it.
That's good.
Yeah, you gotta make it so it doesn't affect you, like just try to cope with it, or try to be that positive change in your life.
If you had someone toxic in your life, how would you deal with that problem besides cutting them off?
I don't know.
Your life,
I just fall back.
Fall back. What does that do?
Let them know that I'm not feeling them. That they need to take their stuff out of my life.
All right, what about toxicity from your household, like your parents or your
Oh,
family?
I just ignore my mom. I don't got time for her bullshit.
Okay, well, for the most part, I don't really deal with toxic people or things. But when I do want to deal with it, like, for example, my mom, she has some very toxic attitudes. And when I want to deal with that, I just either ignore her or, like, I mean, for the most part, I've learned to cope with her attitudes, but either I ignore her or, like, I go in my room or, like, I play music, anything just to cancel her out, and that helps. But besides her, I don't really deal with toxic people.
Alright, so how I would do it, I mean, I'm gonna lay down some boundaries, like, yo, like, being like, you can't be doing certain things. So basically, communication, like, I feel as though communication is the key. So if I can tell you how I'm feeling, maybe you can get a little view of, like, damn, I'm tripping, and then change up the way.
So after seeing what some people have said, and, you know, shout out to the people that participated in this. Shout out to y'all, you know, my mentor, Kayla, Chrissy, random people on campus. You know what I mean? If you're watching this, shout out to y'all, and I really appreciate y'all participating in the video. But let's get on that. Morgan, too. Let me not forget about her. Now, what I want to get into is, like, when I asked people this question, I started to notice, like, when I gave the people the second option, like, you can't cut them off, the answer was different. Now, like, this might not show up in a lot of the videos because, you know, I might have cut that out or whatever the case may be, but when I asked some of the people and I didn't give them the option to cut them off, a lot of people's first response was, I don't know, that's the only way. You know what I mean? I even had the guy that, like, I just said, bro, it's cool to say I don't know or that's the only way, because, like, a lot of people believe it. That if you can't cut the toxicness off, how can you deal with it? That's the only way. Wrong. So the reason that's wrong, and it's wrong for many reasons, but the main reason you shouldn't just look at that to be the only option is, how do you deal with toxicity when you're toxic, when your family's toxic? Now, I feel like it's three main factors in your life that will be toxic, and it's your family, your friends, or yourself. And yes, yourself. You could definitely be toxic to yourself. So the first thing I'm going to touch up on is the easiest one, your friends. If your friends are toxic to you, get some new friends, bro. Simple. Get some new friends. You know what I mean? Your friends being toxic to you in ways that, like, it's killing your energy, killing your vibe, making you do habits that you don't usually do, dragging you down the wrong lifestyle. Like, it's a whole lot of ways your friends can be toxic, and this is the simple way to handle it. But it's like, the sad part might be that some of these friends you might have grew up with. Some of these friends you might have known for years. So it's like, you can't cut somebody off that you've known for this long. And it's like, you know, they might be important to you, but they might have this aspect of them that's toxic. Now, the first thing I'm gonna say with that is you just have to get used to being alone. Now, I talked about that in my other video, and I'll put the link in the description or whatever, but I put how to thrive alone. And that's what you gotta do when you're around people that you don't want to cut off and that you can't cut off, you know what I mean? And it's like you still want to deal with that toxicity. You gotta literally separate yourself, you know what I mean? It's key that you start falling back off that, you know what I mean? You're not cutting them off, but you just distancing yourself because you don't really like what happens when you're around them, or you're not really feeling, you know what I mean, what's going on when you're around them. So definitely watch that video if you want to learn how to thrive to be alone and how to handle being alone and how to use it to your advantage. Now, the second thing I want to touch up on is your family. This, combined with you being toxic to yourself, it's really like the strongest ones, I believe, simply because it's like, if you have a toxic household, you can't avoid that. Like, you gotta go home to this, you sleep to this, they feed you, you know what I mean, they pay. Like, it's a whole lot of ways your family could really be toxic to you, and it's sad, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's definitely a couple ways to deal with this. Starting with, first you gotta have the understanding. You know, I wrote notes for this. That's how I'm like looking over there or whatever, but it just helps me remember what I'm saying. So one of the things that I wrote down is, you gotta understand that someone being toxic is a sign of damage. You know what I mean? A lot of people say this in this way: hurt people hurt people. No perfectly healed and normal happy person is going to be negative to you, toxic to you, mean to you, rude to you, or disrespectful to you, because it's like they come from a heart full of love. They come from a heart full of peace. They come from a heart full of respect. Only is somebody toxic and negative to you when they're dealing with something on the inside that's affecting them and making them act this way. So it's like, when somebody being toxic to you, first you got to separate yourself from what they're doing to you by saying, like, listen, let me not get caught up in the mess. Let me start to analyze what's going on. You know, why is this person being mean to me? It's a lot of underlying problems, and there's a lot of underlying stress that be making people act a certain way that might not even be their true self, but they dealing with so much and they got so much in their plate. And this is not to get them an excuse, but this is just to let you know, like, people actions and people what they say is deeper than what they actually said. So this is what I'm saying. Don't get caught up in what they're saying or how they're treating you. Try to understand what's going on here. And then again, into my next thing, you know, like the guy referenced in the video, and my mentor and the guys from what I met on campus, a lot of them mentioned communication and handling that problem with talking to them. That is very crucial in that, because you might be in a place in your life where, you know, you might be dealing with your own demons, you might be dealing with your own negativity, but you're in a better place to help somebody else. So therefore, talking to them and getting them to open up to you and talk about their problems and their toxic whatever is making them act a certain way, that heals them. They get it off their chest. Tell them about themselves. You know, that might be bold or crazy for some people. Like, you want me to tell my mom, or you want me to tell my dad this, that, and the third? Yes. Yes. You might look at that like, oh shit, this might start another argument. But listen, you said what you said. You got what you wanted to say off your chest. You're not wrong for pointing out a flaw, or you're not wrong for saying how you feel. You're never wrong for believing what you feel and believing in yourself. So just remember that going into it. You're allowed to feel a certain kind of way. So now I'm gonna get to being toxic to yourself. Now, this might be the worst one, but this might be the best one, because once you learn to stop being toxic to yourself, oh my God, you are unstoppable, bro. Like, you a whole different beast when you love yourself. You a whole different animal when you challenge yourself and you do things that you normally wouldn't do. You step out of your comfort zone. You the shit at that point. Like, if nobody can't stop you, or nobody can't tell you what to do, or nobody can tell you how to feel about yourself, and you're not allowing people to get in your head and blah 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 blah, you the shit. Cause why? Your self-esteem comes from yourself. You don't let other people bring you down. Your energy and your happiness comes from yourself. Nobody can take that from you. Your independence is within yourself. You're not dependent on other people. Other people don't let you down, and other people can't play with you because, oh, I'm doing my own thing. You can't even, You gotta fit in somewhere. You're not fundamental to me. You have to fit in somewhere and add to my life. That's what it looks like to be non-toxic to yourself. That's what the ultimate goal is to be. Now, if you are toxic to yourself, the main thing is you have to identify how. Now, a way that I said that I would be toxic to myself in the past is, it's gonna be hard to think about because I can't even really remember. I'm just so way ahead, like I don't even think about that shit no more. Let's say, pessimistic thoughts, like with a class or like with some friends. For example, if a lot of people talk about, oh, this class gonna be hard, or bro, you shouldn't come at that girl like she out of your league, or like da 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 da. I'm being toxic to myself if I sit there and let somebody tell me what I can and cannot do. I'm being toxic to myself because I'm settling for less. I'm not believing in myself. I'm hating on myself. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not striving and I'm not thriving off of my own energy and self-love and appreciation. So the way you deal with that is, I'm gonna go back to that video. You have to learn to be alone. And it's not just, my other video doesn't just teach you how to be alone. It teaches you how to thrive being alone by giving yourself positive things to do, self-development mentality, the growth mindset. It gives you stuff to do when you're alone so that, you know, you might gotta take time off of the world. Take time off your friends, take time off your family, take time off all these people and really start to separate yourself so that you could develop, you could come out a better person. That's something that I really had to do. I remember the turning point in my life was one of the worst times of my life. That was the turning point though. That's the point of time where I never went back and I never looked back on that. Because I really separated from my friends and I really separated from everybody, and I took that time to myself to heal, to develop, to build. You know what I mean? That's all it is, just separating yourself. You cannot become less toxic to yourself with another person. That's how you get into a toxic relationship with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, because it's like you bringing your demons to the relationship, and that shit is never gonna be. It's never gonna happen. You're never gonna get married. You're never gonna end life happily because you brought some mess to the table. But even to know what you're bringing to the table, you have to identify what's toxic in yourself. Because once you identify it, that's when you start getting to the solutions. You know, that's basically all I feel like I have to say in this video. And appreciate you for watching. Leave a like and comment, subscribe. You know, do what you gotta do.